Hello everyone, my name is Ray. Thank you for visiting my channel, and please don't forget to subscribe. Today I'm going to show you how I built this, my homemade blowgun with homemade darts. For this project you'll need a tube. I'm using a 1/2 inch CPVC tube. As you can see, I have a couple of little tubes here to choose from. It doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure you have a good size opening for your darts, and a 1/2 inch CPVC tube is about right, so I'm using that. I also have a 1/2 inch coupling for a mouthpiece on that tube. You'll need some pins. I find that hat pins work best. They were much more readily available years ago, but these about 1.5 inch seamstress pins, they'll work just fine. But you have to make sure you have a head, a large enough head. The small ones will be too small. Okay. You'll need some wood glue. I have a little cap of glue. That's more than we'll need right there. And a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. We're going to take our sheet of 8.5 by 11, and you can see I've already cut a few strips off of this, and I'm going to cut a 1 inch strip. There's nothing particular about this measurement, it's just a rough about 1 inch. I'm going to cut a strip, and then I'm going to take this strip and just more or less cut it in half. So for each strip you cut, you'll get approximately enough to do 2 darts. So I'm just going to take, you can see I have a couple of strips here. Just going to take a strip and I'm going to roll it up into a cone. Now the most important part of this is you want to make sure you get that cone as tight as you possibly can. And it takes a little doing. But you want that tip to be almost a sharp point. As long as it's smaller in diameter than your needle, you're fine. Because you want it to be very, very tight on your pen. I'm going to take some of that wood glue. I'm going to apply it on this leading edge here. The only thing you want to pay attention to on the glue is you don't want it too thick. You want to just put on a thin film, just enough to hold it together. If it's too thick, it'll make the paper way too stiff, make it more difficult to work. I'm just going to finish rolling that up. Nice and tight. Okay, I'm just going to hold that for a second while the glue absorbs into the paper. Again, this is just wood glue. You can use Elmer's, it doesn't really matter. Just enough to hold this together. Waterproofing is not the goal here. So you can see that is a very tight little point, and that's what you want. What you don't want is this. You can see how big this one is. You see that roll is way too big. That will not hold your needle. You need to have a very, very tight tip. So bad roll, good roll. So I've gone ahead and made a few of these. You can see I've got 4 of them here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just take one and I'm going to put it in the end of my tube. And what you want is you want to make sure that you've got a good fit. You don't want to stuff it, you want to just make sure you got a good fit. And you can actually see here my vertex of my paper is actually just right there at the edge of it. If the vertex goes down into the tube, you don't want to use that cone. You want to use a cone that comes all the way to the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that's in there straight. And I'm just going to mark very lightly, without moving that cone around, all the way around this cone. Okay, I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to take my scissor, and I'm just going to follow that line. I'm going to trim along that line. Okay, so I now have a nice cone. I'm just going to check it, and I'm going to check it backwards because if I get in there I won't get it out. And that's actually a very good fit. It just goes in there and it touches the walls of my tube. That's exactly what you want. You want that to be like that. You don't want it tight, but you want it supported. And that's exactly what you got right there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put some glue down inside my hole. I want a drop. I want to make sure there's a good drop of glue inside my cone, just like that. I'm going to take my needles. Now I'm going to take one of my longer pins, There you go. It's about 1.5 inches long. And I'm going to actually get a little bit on the head, just to make sure that I've got plenty on there. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. Okay, it's not unusual to make a little bit of a mess. I'm going to make sure it gets right down in there. I want to pull it tight, but you don't want to yank it through. You want to make sure it's nice and snug. And there is your dart. So I'm going to set this aside, let it dry, and meanwhile I'll make up the others and we'll go outside and test it. The last thing you'll need to do is to fit your mouthpiece. Now this particular coupling has a slightly narrower side than the other, so I'm going to put the wider side facing out. And it doesn't have to be glued. I usually don't glue these. Just put it on. You might want to give that a little tap, but once it's on there, you'll find that that's very difficult to get off. And so now the blowgun is actually ready to use. Okay, we've made our blowgun and we've made our darts. And please, before you ever use these, make sure you don't point it at any other living thing or people. These are dangerous, and just be cautious with them. So here's our first test fire. Very nice. We are about 12 to 15 feet away from the target. Again, nice shot. Nice group too, that's not bad. Pretty nice grouping. Let's take a closer look at that. There you have it. Not bad grouping. Remember, we made this in about 8 to 10 minutes. This was a very quick little project. Let's push the envelope a little further and see how far we can make this accurate. Okay, we are located about 20 feet from the target now. And if you're wondering why I'm using a piece of cork, the reason is during the testing, the darts actually went right through the box. So I needed something with a little bit more resistance. Let's fire one out. Alright, that wasn't bad, but we're going to get a closer look because I actually missed on 2 of those, and we can see how they did. So I missed on this one, and it is actually in this composter, which is plastic, and it penetrated that about, looks like about 1/2 inch in this hard plastic composter. The other one landed back here on the fence, and it's here in the wood, and that went in there pretty good, about a 1/4 inch penetration. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.